A chaotic roadside encounter in Jacksonville, Florida, has ignited national debate over immigration enforcement, public protest, and the legal limits of civilian interference with law enforcement. At the center of the controversy is Jennifer Cruz, a woman accused by authorities of physically attacking a Florida state trooper during an immigration enforcement action involving federal ICE agents. What has drawn even greater attention than the alleged assault itself is the imagery that followed. Video footage showing Cruz smiling while restrained, moments after she was accused of striking an officer and attempting to kick another as police worked to secure the scene. Florida officials wasted little time sending a message, one that sharply contrasts with responses seen in other states. "This is not Minneapolis," Governor Ron DeSantis declared, underscoring Florida's zero-tolerance approach to violence against law enforcement. According to accounts provided by state officials and eyewitnesses, the confrontation unfolded during an active immigration enforcement operation conducted jointly by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Florida Highway Patrol. A state trooper had initiated a traffic stop near the Mi Pueblo grocery store in Jacksonville. ICE agents later arrived on scene and detained the driver of the vehicle as part of an ongoing enforcement action. What happened next, authorities say, transformed a routine operation into a volatile confrontation. Jennifer Cruz allegedly exited her vehicle, approached the officers, and became physically aggressive. Officials claim she struck a Florida trooper in the face and resisted arrest when officers attempted to detain her. Video footage later shared publicly appears to show Cruz kicking toward a female officer while her hands were already restrained behind her back. As multiple officers worked to escort her toward a patrol vehicle, Cruz was reportedly still shouting and resisting. Once placed against the hood of the vehicle, she briefly smiled toward cameras, a moment that quickly went viral. Juan Alvarez, owner of the nearby Mi Pueblo grocery store, said he observed the incident unfold from close range. He described seeing ICE agents arrive to assist the trooper, followed by the detention of one individual. Shortly afterward, a second confrontation erupted. "They had an operation going on," Alvarez explained. "After that, they detained another person, and it looked like there was an altercation. It turned violent." Alvarez noted that additional law enforcement units arrived rapidly, escalating the police presence as officers worked to secure the scene. Florida Attorney General James Uthmeier publicly identified Cruz in a social media post, sharing an image of her smiling while restrained. "Jennifer disagrees with immigration enforcement," Uthmeier wrote, "and decided to commit multiple felonies by getting out of her car and punching a trooper in the face." He added that Florida would not tolerate such behavior, emphasizing that resistance and violence toward law enforcement would be met with immediate consequences. Governor Ron DeSantis echoed that sentiment, reposting Uthmeier's statement and later addressing the incident during an unrelated press conference. "I do know there is a woman who came out and assaulted one of our troopers," DeSantis said. "Let me be very clear, this is not Minneapolis. That kind of behavior is not going to end well in Florida." The comment was widely interpreted as a direct comparison to jurisdictions where protests against ICE have escalated into prolonged unrest, and where officials have faced criticism for restrained enforcement responses. Several Florida lawmakers weighed in, framing the incident as emblematic of a broader national divide over immigration enforcement and respect for law enforcement. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna posted a sharply worded remark online, while Rep. Greg Stu praised Florida's approach, stating that the state has no patience for extremist behavior that puts officers at risk. "These agents are enforcing the law," Stu wrote. "If you break the law in Florida, you will face consequences." The comments underscore Florida's effort to position itself as a stronghold for law and order governance, particularly amid rising tensions surrounding immigration enforcement nationwide. While formal charging documents had not been fully detailed at the time of reporting, legal experts note that the alleged conduct described by authorities could expose Cruz to multiple serious charges under Florida law. Potential charges may include battery on a law enforcement officer, a felony, resisting arrest with violence, obstruction of justice, disorderly conduct, interference with federal officers if federal jurisdiction applies. Battery on a law enforcement officer alone carries enhanced penalties due to the protected status of officers performing official duties. Convictions can result in significant prison time, probation, fines, and long-term civil consequences. The Jacksonville incident comes amid heightened national tension over immigration enforcement, particularly as activist groups increasingly attempt to disrupt ICE operations by alerting communities, gathering at enforcement scenes, or physically intervening. Law enforcement officials have repeatedly warned that such interference endangers officers, detainees, and bystanders alike. Federal statutes already prohibit obstruction of federal agents, while state laws often criminalize interference with lawful police activity. Florida officials have signaled they intend to apply those statutes aggressively. Governor DeSantis' repeated reference to Minneapolis was not accidental. Minnesota has recently faced intense scrutiny following high-profile clashes involving ICE operations, protests, and political leaders accused of signaling tolerance for aggressive resistance tactics. Florida's leadership appears intent on drawing a sharp distinction. In Florida, officials argue law enforcement is supported publicly, legally, and operationally. Protests may be protected, but physical interference is not. Online reaction to the incident has been deeply polarized. Supporters of law enforcement praise the swift arrest and firm rhetoric from state leaders, arguing that attacks on officers must be met with decisive consequences to deter future incidents. Critics, however, accused officials of politicizing the arrest and inflaming tensions by publicly naming and shaming the suspect before adjudication. Civil liberties advocates have also raised concerns about viral footage shaping public perception before formal court proceedings conclude. The image of Cruz smiling while restrained has become a flashpoint in the broader cultural debate. To some, it symbolized defiance and contempt for authority. To others, it raised questions about how selectively edited footage can influence public opinion.
Legal experts caution that viral moments, while powerful, do not substitute for evidence presented in court.
Cruz is expected to face formal arraignment, where prosecutors will outline charges and potential penalties. Her legal team, if retained, will have the opportunity to challenge the allegations, review body camera footage, and argue mitigating circumstances. Meanwhile, Florida officials continue to emphasize deterrence, sending a message that interference with immigration enforcement, particularly when it turns violent, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Conclusion: a defining moment in the enforcement debate. The Jacksonville incident is likely to remain part of a growing national conversation about immigration enforcement, protest boundaries, and the authority of law enforcement in politically charged environments. For Florida's leadership, the message is clear: resistance that crosses into violence will not be tolerated, regardless of motive. As Governor DeSantis bluntly stated, Florida intends to remain a place where the rule of law is enforced decisively, not negotiated in the streets.